Mom, Dad, since Michael's apartment is empty now, would it be okay if I moved in there? They exchanged glances before Mom spoke. Well honey, you can move in but you'll need to pay rent. The words hit me like a slap in the face. Rent? But Michael lived there for free. Dad shifted uncomfortably in his recliner. That was different. We have the wedding loan to pay off now. We need the extra income. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm your daughter too, I said, my voice trembling slightly. I've never asked you for anything. I worked for my college money. I take the bus everywhere. Mom held up her hand to stop me. She and Dad had one of their silent conversations, the kind they used to have when deciding whether to spend money on another of Michael's activities. Fine, Mom finally said. They'll charge you half the normal rent. I wanted to argue more but I knew this was the best offer I'd get. Okay, I'll take it. That weekend I moved into the apartment. It still had traces of Michael everywhere, holes in the walls from his college posters, water rings on the coffee table from his late night study sessions. I took extra shifts at the cafe to cover the rent, often working until closing time. Between classes, studying and work, I barely had time to sleep. My final year of college passed in a blur of textbooks, coffee shop aprons and midnight study sessions. Before I knew it, graduation day arrived. While my classmates' families planned parties and celebrations, my parents opted for a quiet dinner at home. They only invited my grandparents. No extended family, no friends, no elaborate catering like Michael's graduation. They sat around the dining room table, eating the lasagna I'd made myself. Grandma reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Emma dear, we're so proud of you," she said warmly. "Graduating with highest honors while working part-time, that's quite an achievement." Before I could respond, Mom's phone buzzed. Her face lit up as she read the message. "Oh, speaking of achievements," she interrupted. "Michael just texted. The business is doing wonderfully. He says they're expanding into new locations." I watched as my graduation dinner turned into a celebration of Michael's success in Connecticut. My grandparents exchanged knowing looks, and Grandpa squeezed my shoulder supportively. My hard work in college paid off sooner than I expected. Within 2 weeks of graduation, I landed a position at Anderson & Mitchell, one of the most prestigious firms in the city. The starting salary was better than I dared hope for, and I was thrilled to finally be starting my career. That excitement lasted exactly 3 days, until my parents found out about my salary. Mom said during one of her unexpected visits to the apartment, "Now that you are making good money, you should start paying the full rent amount." I stared at her, wondering if I'd heard correctly. "But we agreed on half." "That was when you were a student," she replied matter-of-factly. "You can afford it now." I wanted to point out that Michael had lived here for free, even after getting a job, but I learned that comparing myself to my brother was pointless. The apartment's location was perfect, just a 10-minute walk from my office. So I reluctantly agreed. Life fell into a routine. I threw myself into my work, determined to prove my worth at the company. Every month, like clockwork, Mom would call. "Emma dear, just reminding you about the rent. It's due on Friday. We're counting on that money." 3 years passed this way. I earned a significant promotion and raise, but I kept that information to myself. I'd learned my lesson. Any hit of financial success would just lead to more demands from my parents. Through their occasional updates, I heard that Michael and Sarah had a baby boy. I'd seen pictures on social media but hadn't visited. Our communication had dwindled to perfunctory birthday messages and holiday greetings. I was fine with that. Then came the phone call that changed everything. "Emma," Mom's voice was tight with tension. "They need to talk about your brother. There's been some trouble. The business, well, it's gone bankrupt. He had a terrible fight."